Well, I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the debate. I just, it's just something about seeing politicians up there going back and forth, and pretending like they actually do care about, the regular people and all of that. It's very hard for me to watch that. I mean, for real, I'll watch a sports game more than I would watch something like that. A bad comedy, something, but I just can't watch that, And on top of that, when I got on social media to see all the high emotion, so I decided to take a day. I wanted to wait until the following day after the confetti has fallen, after both sides have claimed victory. I said, let me come for cleanup. And let me see, okay, what's left. And let me look at the program and let me see what's really going on here. And I came across something that was quite interesting. So, for example, did you know that one of the debate moderators, Linsey Davis, yeah, she's an AKA. Did you know that? Yeah, she's an AKA. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing it up because guess who else is an AKA? Kamala Harris. She's an AKA. So right off the top, does that even seem fair to you? I mean, even that. Again, I'm not even in this. I don't have a dog in this race at all, but I'm just saying. So let's just say, for example, if you had one of the debate moderators who was a member of, let's just say, the NRA, and then as a moderator, it's their responsibility to moderate a debate where one of the candidates, one of the participants, is also a member of the NRA. How do you think that would play well, to the general public? How do you think that would play well, in the mainstream media? It wouldn't. But in this case, we're supposed to just overlook that. But see, unlike the NRA, AKAs, just like all other Black Greek letter organizations, well, their relationship goes a lot deeper. This year, July the 10th of this year, well, Kamala Harris actually spoke at the Boule, yeah, see this? At the Boule, or the AKA event down in Texas. And we're going to take a look at that clip. So what you're going to look at now is, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's about 18, 20 minutes long. So what I did is I clipped it down and I'm highlighting some very important things that she said in this speech. So we're going to go ahead and roll that. And what I'll also do is provide you with a link to the video so that you can watch it yourself. And I'll go even further than that. I'll provide you a link to the actual transcript from the White House. So because I don't want to hear from anybody what you took her out of context and all that stuff, you can go and you can watch the video yourself, and you can also watch or read the transcript for yourself. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and roll this clip.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, my sorors. To our Supreme Basilisk, Danette, Anthony Reed, thank you for your leadership, your kind words, your friendship, and all that you do. To my line sisters, the 38 jewels of iridescent splendor. Sorors, as many of you know, this sisterhood has been a part of my life since my earliest days, starting with my aunt, Miss Christine Simmons, who was initiated in 1950 at Howard University. And from 1978 to 1981, she served as Basilisk of Alpha Nu Omega chapter in Oakland, California. And it is because of your work and your support that we have been able to then fill our administration with incredible leaders, such as Shalonda Young, Soror Shalonda Young, who is the head of the most powerful office of management and budget. She controls the money. And of course, a member of our sorority.
Now, for those of you who have been following our platform for some time, for years now, we're talking 5, 6+ years now, we have always made it a point to really dive deep and talk about the history of these Black Greek letter organizations. The reason why, the main and only reason why these organizations were created, when you look at the actual history, was simply because of the fact that you had a group of black folks who desperately wanted to be included in white secret societies. And those white secret societies at that time said, no, we don't accept your kind. So what happened? So these group of black people said, okay, well, we'll create our own. Now, here's the problem that I have with this. And that is that black people, where we were in that station in life. Well, let me just cut to the chase. Why do black people need a secret society in the first place, where certain people are accepted and others are not, when we were all at that time at the bottom of the barrel? That never made any sense to me, and then even to this day, we still have it. And the thing that really concerns me about these groups is that what they do with their power is that they take their opinions and they impress it upon the greater black community and say, this is where the black community needs to go. This is how the black community needs to think. And it's these same people like Mr. Johnson of Ebony Magazine Empire who pushed upon us white skin whitening cream, colorism, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can attribute that to the Johnsons. We can attribute that to these black Greek letter organizations. And you know what we can also attribute to the black Greek letter organizations? Yeah. How many of you guys remember MOVE, okay, in Philadelphia? This was back in the 80s, where Wilson Good, who's an alpha, he authorized his police department to drop a bomb on a black community, black section of town in the city of Philadelphia, where many people died. Black people died. See, people don't want to talk about that. People don't want to revisit that. But he was a member of the Alphas. He was an alpha that authorized the bombing of black folks in America. And he was the first black mayor of the city of Philadelphia.
Don't ask me. I can come smile. I don't fucking have to do no goddamn work. Okay? I don't have to do no work systemically, and I'm going to be fine. And guess what? I will always get 38 to 45% of the white vote. If I get 30 to 45% of the white vote, I don't fucking have to damn get the black vote I got this past election. I'll fucking win. You got a black city? That's great. You can have all black everything. And guess what? You won't have green nothing. If the white money thinks that you are looking after their shit, they will take their shit to Prattville. They will take their shit to Pike Road, and you won't have shit.
Now, to be fair, when you look at these different organizations, yes, they have done some good things for black people and all of that, but usually it's ultimately for their benefit. For example, if, they will oftentimes favor their own members above regular people who are not members for different plum positions, opportunities, things like that. And so here you got black folks who are pining for opportunities and things like that. But here you have built within our own construct, we have a separate society that says, unless you're part of our group, you're not going to get access to these things. And that's the main issue that I have with them. But what's more is that these organizations, like I said, in my NRA example, NRA, you just apply for it and pretty much that's it. But when you talk about these Greek letter organizations, well, it goes a lot deeper than that. It goes deep into spirituality, and it goes into things that should be concerning to a lot of people. Okay, so let's take a look at their own pledge book, okay? And there's some things in here that's, let's just read it, okay? It says obedience. All right, candidates assemble in the anteroom where the following questions are asked by the pilot. Pilot to candidates, are you willing to accept the responsibilities of a Soror of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority? If so, repeat after me. I am. And the candidates say, I am. The pilot says, do you solemnly promise obedience to the laws governing this organization? If so, repeat after me. I do. I do. All right. And then it goes on. It says on the right hand side, it says those who, and this is the pilot, those who are not willing may withdraw. And then it says the pilot alarms the door, the sentinel stationed at the door, Basilis, I hope I'm saying that right. There is an alarm at the door. and the Basiles said, attend the alarm, Sentinel. And then the Sentinel goes on and it says, Basiles, the pilot with the candidates who desire to be admitted to our order is here. And then the Basiles says, have the candidates made satisfactory answers to the questions and expressed their desire to unite with us? And the Sentinel says, I will ascertain. And then it goes on and the pilot says they have. And the Basiles says, then admit them. And the pilot enters in with the candidates and lights are lowered. Okay. Now, this is the Vice President of the United States. She's part of this. Okay. And it says the Basiles to the candidates, are you willing to be submissive and in every way to subjugate yourself to the highest authority? Repeat after me. I am. I am. And then it goes on. Okay. So here you have the Vice President of the United States who took part in this. And I didn't even get into the part where it talks about, you know, them in a darkened room, holding candles, wearing dark dresses. Oh, it goes pretty deep. And so, and then they'll throw some scriptures in there, you know, to satisfy the religious black folks. But for the most part, dark candles, dark room, and then saying that you're going to be submissive to the highest authority. What authority is that? This is some of the things that we do bring up here. Same thing. I did a video a while back about the police. Many police officers are Masons. They're part of Masonic order. They even have patches that you can find freely available on Google. And so they have dual loyalties, both to the oath that they take to office, and then many of them have an oath that they take to these Masonic orders. This is why we tell black folks specifically, listen, you have to pay attention to what these politicians, these people, law enforcement and all of that, what they are subject themselves to. What other oaths did they take? Most of these people, again, they take two separate oaths. There's an oath to the nation, to the people, quote unquote, but there's also an oath to their own organization, meaning that under the radar, they're going to make sure they're taking care of their people first. This is why you see a lot of black politicians, they get in office, they're not really doing anything for black folks, right? They'll do things for some black folks, but not all. But why is that? Because they took a separate oath. And this should be very concerning to all of us. And see, the thing is, when you're part of these types of secret societies, these organizations where you're taking oaths and all of that, they make you do some very weird and very strange things, a lot of times to your own members. Now, what I want to do now is show you a clip of a video I'm sure that many of you guys have seen. It's of Dick Gregory, who's long gone now, and he's talking about the day that King died. Now, I have a much longer version of this video, and I think I can make it live. I'll see. I'll figure it out. But you can find. You should be able to find it here on YouTube. If not, I'll definitely make it available so that everybody can watch it. But it's this particular clip here. It's very interesting because, as you know, MLK, he himself was I believe he was an Alpha as well. But he was surrounded by a lot of other members of different Greek letter organizations. So let me play this clip and we'll be right back.
I was at the trial in Memphis. I want to show you all quickly, explain to you why that jury of 6 blacks and 6 whites after 3 hours came back and found that white boy guilty of conspiring to kill Dr. Martin Luther King. And they went further than that. And they also said there was some co-conspirators, black folks, unnamed, that was involved. I want to show you a little 3-minute clip of the minister that Dr. King was going by his house for dinner. He was due at 7, but they had to move it up because 7 would be a little too dark to shoot somebody. So they moved it to 6 o'clock. 2 years ago at a press conference in Memphis, I get a call And they said, so-and-so is thinking about killing so-and-so, so-and-so. I said, what? I said, well, he said something at a press conference. I said, put him on the phone. I said, whatever you do, get that film. Because once NBC realized what this brother had slipped and said, we will never get our hands on the film. What you're fixing to see now went into the evidence in the King trial where they brought a wrongful death suit, and I'll explain that to you quickly in a minute. But what you're fixing to witness now is the man who came by to get King to take him to dinner. And 30 years later at a press conference, he slipped, because God do baffle your mind sometimes. You look,
some of the activities are geared especially for the young who did not have a chance to get to feel or to know what the civil rights movement actually was about. Even as they marched, now they could have stopped in a hotel, but when you think about marching from Memphis to Jackson or Jackson to Memphis, there were no hotels. You stayed in churches, you stayed in people's homes, and that's how we got over, that's how we got through. The struggle was a spiritual struggle. You couldn't pay people to do what we had to do. You couldn't pay people to stand before mad dogs and fire hoses and billy clubs and cattle prods. It was strictly a spiritual and moral movement. So we wanted that dimension to be in the pilgrimage to Memphis. We will revisit the mountaintop speech site. That's the Mason's Temple, where Dr. King made his last address, which he almost didn't make, because the night that we were having that rally, there were tornado warnings, and he was behind on the Poor People's Campaign. And he said, you guys go on over and have the rally. I want to stay at the motel and work on the Poor People's Campaign. When we got there and Dr. Abernathy walked in and Jesse Jackson walked in and I walked in and others, people started clapping because they thought Martin was behind us. And so Ralph's preacher said to him, this is not our crowd. And he went to the phone and called Dr. King and said, any of the marches that we had in those days, you have an opportunity to bring the children and bring the family and march with us. And when I finished sharing with them the last hour of Dr. King's life, oh, hurry. But that gave me the wonderful privilege of spending the last hour on earth. 3 preachers in a room, Abernathy, King, and Kyle. And we spent that last hour together in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel. The press is always curious, and writers, what went on? What did you talk about? I say, we just talk preacher talk. What preachers talk about when they get together.
Y'all pay real attention to what you're fixing to hear now.
About 5:45, we walked on the balcony, and he was talking to people in the courtyard. He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away, so we could have a clear shot, the shot rang out. Thank you. I turned around and then stood back on the balcony.
Listen. Wait, listen. Listen. 30 years later, this brother never realized he would slip and say that. Do you know what happened when you're sitting in a jury room about a conspiracy and this piece of film is introduced? He stood here, I stood here, only as I moved away so he could have a clear shot. The shot rang out.
So let me ask you, is it fair game to bring up this stuff here? Or, because after all, we do bring these kind of relationships and connections and stuff like that when we deal with all other politicians Why is it all of a sudden with this, there's no conversations on it? We're supposed to, oh, that's really nothing. It's kind of like a whatever. Well, a while back, I did a video on the Links, which is another organization that's closely tied to the Alphas, and I'm sure some other ones. You have a lot of Alphas that are part of this, but this is another video that I did where we talked about that. Hey, you got a lot of these individuals here who are part of that as well. See, black women, when it comes to, especially when you're talking about DC politics, they are very well connected, very well organized. But the thing is that they are also pulling from different narratives that aren't constructive to the black family. In fact, if you was to listen to her entire speech that she gave to the AKAs, all of it was about the progression of black women. There was nothing at all mentioned about the black family at all. I mean, it's one thing if you're talking about, it's a women's organization. So of course you're going to talk about that. But what about the family? And that's what you see a lot of this. They don't really talk about that. They talk about everything else. They're open. A lot of these people are open borders. A lot of these people are okay with the LGBT and pushing that.
For many years now, I have been an outspoken supporter of civil and human rights for gay and lesbian people. I've always felt that homophobic attitudes and policies were unjust and unworthy of a free society and must be opposed by all Americans who believe in democracy. I still hear people say that I should not be talking about the rights of lesbian and gay people, and I should stick to the issue of racial justice. But I hasten to remind them that Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere."
But when it comes to the black family, and when I say black family, I'm talking about the black man, the black woman, and the black child. In most cases, it's the black woman and the black child. That's what they're pushing. And this is why I find this to be very concerning. So what are your thoughts on this? Put it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider to do so. Okay, so thanks again for tuning in. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon.